TOA community, welcome back to the channel, everybody. Robert Linkul, trainingtheolderadult.com, and I'm excited to talk to you today about someone who I personally feel like is one of the greatest athletes, okay? Maybe not one of the greatest human beings, but one of the greatest athletes of our generation. Now, I say our generation, I'm 43 years old. I grew up in the 80s. My dad, we lived in Houston and in Texas when I was really, really little. I was born in LA, and like 6 weeks after I was born, we moved to St. Louis, and then we moved to Houston, and then back to St. Louis, and then back to Houston. All of this by the time I was like 5 years old. My dad gets the job as the vice president at Caesar's Palace, Lake Tahoe. So we moved to Tahoe when I'm 5 years old. So it's 1985. And Mike Tyson is just starting the prime of his career. And every time he would fight in either Caesar's Palace or MGM or whatever in Vegas. In Caesar's Tahoe, they would have these huge fight parties. And my dad being the vice president there, we'd get to go. And we would be in this, this huge convention center. They had massive screens they would project the fight on. And I'm in there, with my brother and my dad, and we're huge fight fans. I mean, we grew up Lennox Lewis, Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, Riddick Bowe, Roy Jones Jr., just watching all of these, George Foreman at the end of his career, Michael Moore, just watching all of these great fighters of their time going through this, what you can only look at as a generational talent of a collection of amazing fighters. Some of those names I just said are some of the best boxers ever. And they all, for a small period of time, existed at the same time. This 85 to 93, they all existed in this same little era. And most of them got to fight each other. And 99% of those fights, Mike Tyson came out on top. Now, maybe, well, not maybe, but definitely questionable human being behavior. But as far as just looking at his ability as an individual athlete and the power he possessed and the way that he fought, something else, okay? And I'm going to show you some stuff that kind of progresses him as he ages. But let's look specifically at Mike Tyson, 57, the physique that he has. And the reason for this, the reason this is a topic right now is he's about to fight again, and he's going to fight against a 23 or 25-year-old Jake Paul, okay? If you don't know who Jake Paul is, apparently he was a Disney kid that turned into a YouTuber, and now he thinks he's a fighter. And I don't follow him or his brother Logan very much. I don't really know what they do or why they're popular. It's one of those like, you're an old man. I don't know. I just don't know who he is, and I just know that he wants to fight everybody. And apparently he has had some good boxing matches with some other, retired UFC fighters and whatnot. I don't know. So 23 years old, basically Mike is, double his age. And people are concerned. They're like, oh man, he's gonna fight this young guy. He's way over the hill. Like, this shouldn't be a thing. Looking at this, I would, if I were Jake Paul, I'd be thinking twice, because I am going to show you some things that are just terrifying. And when I watch, there's certain power that is possessed by individuals. And apparently that power is not lost on the aging process with Mike Tyson, because dude can pop still, and wait till you see this. Like, it's amazing. But we're looking at a 57-year-old Mike Tyson here on the left. Still has the size and the muscularity, the muscle mass of frame, not like he had when he was 20 years old, okay? On the other side, you can see how jacked and how ripped he was. And there's a really, a very cool progression of him here from the 90s to 2000 to 2020. I mean, what a progression for this guy. His physique and his muscle mass in terms of retention at being almost 60 years old is phenomenal. Obviously, he went through a phase where when he was filming the Hangover movies and some others, he was doing this one-man show, all this. He was really heavy, 230, 250 pounds. Granted, he's 5'10", I want to say. and 250. I'm 6'4", 250, and so it's a little different when you've got 6 inches more in height to stretch out your body mass. At 5'10", he was chubby. He was carrying a bunch of extra body fat on him. You could see it in his face and his neck. No muscularity, no vascularity, none of that. And then celebrity boxing kind of becomes a thing, and somebody says, hey, why don't you and Roy Jones Jr. get into a celebrity match together? So he starts to train again. Let's take a look at some of this footage. He starts to train again, and this is him now. This is, number one, just listen. Okay, I don't care who you are. You get hit with something like that. This guy is 57 years old, and he's just rocking this. I mean, it's terrifying. That's terrifying. The fact that he still can move like that, the ground contact, the foot speed. I don't know a lot of stuff about boxing. I just know that there's not a lot of dudes that are 57 years old doing that. And granted, it's Mike Tyson. You know, he's one of the greatest boxers, if not the greatest boxer of all time. And it's not surprising that he still has it, okay? But when you look at the aging process for him, what's he doing? Is he lifting weights? Is he doing TRT? Is he doing, is he on steroid? Like, what is the story behind this and how he's able to keep this physique? So he goes on Joe Rogan, and he's been on Joe Rogan. You can see the clips there. He's gone on Joe Rogan a couple of times. And the first time, Joe tells a story about how, here's the fight with Roy Jones. Okay, this was again 2021 or 2020, 2021. So this was 3 years ago, okay? And this is the last round of the fight. They're getting after each other. It was a, what do they call it? An exhibition, okay? Ended in a draw. It was 8 rounds. They did 8 2-minute rounds, so they basically went, for 16 minutes. And these were the hardest shots delivered. A lot of people kind of felt like they carried each other. Neither one of them really wanted to pop the other one and try to knock him out until the 8th round. The 8th round, you saw a level up where both of them started to swing quite a bit harder. They were hunting at each other, and especially Mike really wanted to take him out with body shots. You could tell he was purposely trying not to hit him in the head, and just every once in a while would throw one up there just to try to get his hands up. But it was an exhibition. I think they wanted to put on a show. I think it was a good payday for them. It ended in a draw, and it was really cool to kind of see this development of Mike, okay, to see him back to this ability. But the speed and the intensity in which he hits these mats, we didn't see in that fight, which shows me that he never really opened up. I think he had a lot of respect for Roy Jones, and he didn't want to knock out another 50-year-old, great of boxing. With Jake Paul, I think he's going to let everything go. Like, he's got nothing to worry about cracking that kid and just letting him have it. So I personally hope we see that, and I would be more than happy to see Mike, being carried around the ring in victory. So anyhow, he goes on Joe Rogan, and Joe says that he used to have like a 4-foot wide table, and he ended up making it a 5-foot wide table because he was so intimidated and terrified of Mike Tyson, the way he talked about things and the way that he held himself. He was a terrifying guy. Like, it was really intimidating to be in front of him. I wanted more. He encouraged me to put more space between me and my guests, is what he was saying. In that, Mike Tyson talks about how he has 2 different personalities. He's 2 different people. He's Mike Tyson, the fighter, and he's Mike Tyson, the regular, nice human being. And that the fighter is this ego that is this different person that has to turn this switch his intention is to hurt people. And that's what he has to become when he goes to the ring. And he goes, it's all ego. And he goes, I don't like this person. That's why he goes, I don't really particularly like to fight, because I become that person. He hasn't found a way to not be that guy when he trains. But you can see in his fights towards the latter end of his career, the second the fight was over, this switch would flip in him, and he would become this super grateful. He's hugging and kissing his opponents on the cheek, like just he'd help him up after he knocked him out. He immediately went from destruction, destroy mode to be the normal person he wanted to be. And so the next time he comes on to Joe Rogan, he's not training for a fight, okay? And they have a great time. They smoke weed together. They all, this is the thing that some people do on their show. And it's like he's this lighthearted, goofy, fun individual. And then he goes on again, okay, in the training, and he goes, oh, the other guy was back. Like, it's a totally different feeling. Anyway, my point is he's got this ability mentally to flip the switch. And in that, discussed in the aging process, that he does take different supplements, that he has a testosterone replacement therapy, he does TRT, and that's been a big part of him being able to maintain his health and this physique as he ages. And so I just found it really interesting that we are in an era, okay? I don't have the stats in front of me. Maybe this is something I should have brought up, but we're in an era where the average male at every age demographic, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, all the way up, our testosterone levels are drastically down from where they were in the 50s, in the 70s, in the 90s. And there's big connections to that with processed food, pesticides that's put onto our foods and such, and basically killing off the testosterone levels in men. Now, maybe this is another video I should do in the future, but why TRT, why testosterone replacement therapy has become such a big thing in men, for sure, but now is transitioning into a component of treating women, especially as they become premenopausal and going through menopause, is giving just a tiny bit of testosterone to help replace what is lost. And so it used to be a hormonal response change of just giving some estrogen and some other other hormones that would give a positive result in processing through the demands of menopause, meaning that hot flashes and mood swings and all that. Finding that if there's a little bit of testosterone in their system, a lot of that is nullified. Like, a lot of that is either drastically reduced or removed, and makes the whole process a whole lot better. But it's also assisting in bringing back the bit of testosterone and some estrogen that allows them to keep their muscle mass, their bone density, their athleticism as they're aging here. It's a good thing. And naturally, that used to be higher, both men and women, in the 50s, okay? We've gradually seen these levels, hormonal responses in both sexes, but specifically in men with testosterone, we've seen them just drastically tank down and down and down. That's why there's so many individuals that are on testosterone therapy replacement. And that's a component that Mike has talked about, along with creatine and plenty of other supplements that he's used to kind of keep himself athletic. But to be able to train, he also kind of talked about, we released this video of him hitting the pads, and he's like out at a pool somewhere hitting pads with somebody. And they're like, oh man, you look great. And he goes, I haven't hit pads in 3 years. That's the first time I had done that. He goes, I was so sore, so banged up after that. It was about 2 minutes that I did hitting the pads at full speed like that. And he goes, I was wrecked. And it just showed me, like, I've got a lot of work to do if I want to get back into it. You're like, dude, that's you not hitting pads for a decade, and then you come back and you're just popping them like that. I mean, it's super impressive. It's super impressive that he's been able to build the physique that he has, maintain that through the age here, and go through that big, heavy body fat time where he wasn't training and wasn't doing anything, and build himself back to this point where at almost 60, he's got a fantastic physique that is going to carry him health-wise very far into the future, assuming that his heart and everything else is good. So part of this, I wanted to kind of research some of the things. Now, this is something that they talked about in the late 90s, early 2000s, was part of his fitness routine that he would do, but he has continued to kind of carry this now back into the last 3 or 4 years, where a couple of days out of the week, he has this routine that he does that he kind of either breaks up through the day or he chunks, he does in like 2 or 3 big chunks, where he does basically 2,000 air squats, body weight air squats, 2,500 sit-ups, 500 push-ups, 500 bench dips, 500 neck curls. That's where you're curling either with a weight or something on his head, and then 500 barbell shrugs, and then 10 minutes of wrestling bridges. That's where you're laying on your back and you bridge up onto your head. Okay, so the only thing touching your head are your heels and the head in your head. And so all of your weight is basically on the crown of your head, and you are rolling your head around to build the musculature in your neck to keep your neck strong, so when you get hit, your brain doesn't get jarred, your head doesn't get jarred. And so wrestlers have these huge traps and boxers have these huge traps. There was a picture of Mike Tyson's neck being 20 and a half inches. Okay, 20 and a half inches is a massive neck for a non-overweight individual. That's a very big muscular neck. His neck basically isn't there. He just goes from his ears to his shoulder. It's like this 45-degree angle trap that just cuts down. There's not a whole lot of drop and like neck to grip onto. He's got some musculature there that he's built up, I'm assuming over those 500 barbell shrugs that he does. Most of the time he would split this up over 10 sets and complete it throughout the day, meaning he would do 5 sets of whatever to get halfway, air squats, dips, this, and then maybe do the other half, the second half of the day. They split up their training often, where they'll run, in the morning, come back and eat and rest, and then they'll pads and do bag work, and then they'll rest and sleep, and then come back in the afternoon and they'll do weights, and then maybe some hand-eye coordination, speed ladder, drill stuff, and then they'll go to bed. And then the next day it's a whole road work, and then there's sprints and then plyos, and then another lifting session, and then they do rounds with jump rope and yada yada. So every day they're kind of split up into different stuff. I think very similar here is something that he would do, like a breakup, 10 rounds of 200 air squats, 250 sit-ups, 50 push-ups, 50 dips, 50 curls, and then 50 shrugs with 60 pounds. Okay, 60 pounds on the bar. And he would cycle through that. I mean, that's 10 rounds of that. You do 5 of those. You do 1 of those for the average individual, they're going to be sore for a week. I mean, this is not something that regular people do. But he'd build up so much muscular endurance in doing this, manipulating your body weight and transitioning like this over and over and over again in such a specific way makes him a very well muscularly endured individual to do his sport. Boxing is one of these tough sports where you have to be let's go back to this guy. You have to be muscularly strong, muscularly endured. You have to be cardiovascularly endured, and you need to be powerful all at different times. So you have like different meters, like in a video game, different meters of energy. And it's like easy, give some effort, easy, explode, easy, effort, easy, explode. Like you have different volumes of, but you can only do some of those for so much. He can only go at people like that hard, like 2 minutes out of an entire fight. So you gotta go, I want 10 seconds of it here, 8 seconds over there. Like you can't just gas like that at people, for 3, 4, 5 rounds. You'll get so tired they'll knock you out because you've exhausted yourself. And that's, one of the more famous fights with Muhammad Ali and George Foreman was the rope-a-dope, where Foreman was this huge slugger. And he would come in at Ali, and Ali would just kind of lay up against the ropes and shell, and Foreman would just swing. And Foreman thought, man, I'm beating the hell out of this guy. And after like 5 or 6 rounds of that, Foreman was so tired of hitting him as hard as he could, but he wasn't clipping him. He was shelled up and protecting himself. Ali just took the abuse. And then Foreman was so tired, he had nothing left. He had drained his power, he drained all of his strength. And now he was just throwing his hands, just trying to do something, and Ali pieced him up and knocked him out. And so you can have the world's greatest power, but if you can't deliver it in the right moment, then you're not going to get anywhere. But at the same time, even with this fight with Roy Jones, Roy was really good with his feet and worked his distance, and it was hard for Mike to like get into him and get close enough to be able to use that power. If you can't have good footwork and enough conditioning to carry you through, you're not going to have a chance to deliver that power punch. So it's this perfect balance, if you will, of being conditioned, being really strong, but then in these small little delivery pockets of power, power, power. It's like, how do you train for that? You know, bodybuilders train to be really big and then cut, and then power lifters train for size and maximal lifting strength. And then the strongmen are kind of a combo in the middle. The CrossFit athletes are amazing, where they're as strong as they can be and as conditioned as they can be, and they can swim and they can do gymnastics. And I mean, there are these areas of expertise that each of these sports bring in. And boxing, you know, how do you get that musculature and that power and that size and that conditioning all in one? It's amazing what they do and their ability to go. If you've never taken a boxing class or done anything where you have to throw your hands at mitts or at a bag, you'd be amazed how heavy your arms get, right? It's a challenge to just, no one's even trying to hit you. You're just trying to hit a bag for 3 minutes. Don't stop hitting it. Just keep tapping it, power, power. I mean, 15, 20 seconds in, your arms are tired. And then you start breathing heavy, and then you're like, oh man, it's got to be close to 3 minutes, and you're like 47 seconds. No way. Like, it's exhausting. It's not easy. They make it look easy. But I just thought a segment here kind of dedicated to one of the greatest athletes and the development that he has maintained, his body's ability to maintain, to still perform at such a high level. I wish him all the best in this fight against Jake Paul. I wish him luck, and I hope that things go well for him. I think he's got the best fight IQ that he could possibly have, and he knows not to go in there and just try to end him really quickly. But we'll see what happens. It's going to be weird to see a 57-year-old fighting a 23-year-old, but let's see how it goes. And man, some of the best memories I have, hanging with my dad, hanging with my brother, there at Caesars, you know, hot dog in hand, root beer in the other, watching these fights. And just, you know, there was an era of Pernell Whitaker and Oscar De La Hoya, and, you know, just all the heavyweights. I loved Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield and Riddick Bowe, and the parachuter falling into the ring during a Mike Tyson biting off ears. And I mean, it was an era of boxing that it was the best. It was the best of times, for sure. Boxing has never been the same since then, in my opinion. And that was just the coup de grace. That was the best time, and I'm so glad I got to experience it. And this guy is one of the, you know, the key players, if not, you know, the king of the mountain when it comes to that era of boxing. All right, gang. Hope you enjoyed this one. A little reminiscing and a little throwback, but I hope you didn't mind. Have a great day. Much love and appreciation. Please hit that subscribe button. Share this with any boxing fans or any Mike Tyson fans out there. You want to share it around, that would be great. Until next time, continue to fight your good fight against sarcopenia, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.